Today, in this video, there will be no spewing of my beloved opinions or telling bedtime stories like in my last few videos. In this video, I will be getting back to my roots. And no, I'm not talking about off-road videos. I'm talking about my other roots, talking about GMRS radios, and specifically this radio, the Midland XT511 emergency radio. The cost for the Midland XT511 radio is $125. Affiliate link below. And to be clear, buy2aradios.com did send me the Midland XT511 emergency radio at no charge, at no cost to me, so that I could share it with you, my favorite viewer. But I did have to literally beg them to send it to me for over 2 years. And the reason I had to beg for this thing for over 2 years, like some kind of common parking lot hobo, is because since at least 2019, the Midland XT511 has been in very short supply. The radio did become available again for a short time in 2020, and then almost immediately became unavailable again because of the C word. C word. I don't want to say the C word here on YouTube because they might ban me for talking about it. And no, I'm not talking about the C word that you call your ex-girlfriend. I'm talking about that other C word that I'm not allowed to say. But finally, in 2022, actually the end of 2022, the Midland XT511, also commonly known as the Midland XT511, is available again, but the inventory is very, very limited. And that means that once I click the upload button for this video, it will sell out very, very quickly. So if you think you might ever want to touch the Midland XT511 radio, pause the video right now, click the affiliate link below and order yours now, then come back and watch the rest of the video. But for the love of Xenu, do not leave a comment whining and crying that the radio has sold out, because I just warned you that this radio is going to sell out, and if you snooze, you won't get one. So should you decide to purchase the Midland XT511, also known as the Midland XT511 Base Camp Emergency Radio, in the box you will receive a user manual, 25 pages long, written in perfect English, as one might expect from Midland, going over all the features and options of the radio and how to use them. You will receive this little reminder that says, please switch to high power to get maximum range. One must only guess that they threw this in because they were getting many complaints about people saying that they weren't getting many FARs on the radio, and that's because they had it on low power. Out of the box, the radio is set to low power. You will receive this charging cable for charging the rechargeable battery pack in the radio, which we'll talk more about momentarily. This part goes into the charging port of the radio, and you stick this part into the holes that you find in the walls of your home. You will receive this 12-volt cigarette lighter charging port. Just like the 120-volt charger, one end goes into the radio, and you stick the other end into a hole in your automobile. The hole commonly known as the cigarette lighter hole, or in newer cars, the 12-volt charging port. You will receive this handsome neck strap for dangling the radio around your neck while you walk around to impress the chicks. You will receive this external microphone. The microphone is very small, smaller than the microphones you would find in a mobile radio. Measuring in at just under 3 inches by approximately 2 inches and about 1 inch thick. You do not need the external microphone to use the radio. It also has a built-in microphone, which I will show you momentarily. And although this appears to be the standard K-type connector, I believe it's called, or Kenwood connector, as some people call it, it is not the standard type of plug. I think this is referred to as a mini K or K1 connector, but don't quote me on that. So this will not work in most other radios. And you will receive the Midland XT511, also known as the Midland XT511 Base Camp Emergency Radio. As you can see, almost forgot. Where was I? On the radio, you will find a band switch for switching between the various bands that the radio can receive or transmit on. I will go over that more momentarily. You'll find a switch for changing the battery source. I'll talk more about that momentarily. And a switch for the light, which, as you can see, is actually a very bright flashlight. On and off knob here. A tone control for high or low tone on the outside of the volume and on and off knob. A tuning knob here to change your channels. The previously mentioned flashlight here. A USB plug, which you use to charge other devices. I'll talk more about that in a moment. This is where you connect the microphone, thusly. And below this warning that says, please ensure the rechargeable battery pack is installed in the radio before using the AC or DC adapters. Below this warning sticker is the charging port. It has a folding antenna. Push to talk button here for if you're using the internal microphone, which is built in there. If you have the external microphone connected, you do not need to use that. You would press that button instead. And buttons to do various functions of the radio. And perhaps the biggest feature that differentiates this radio from most other GMRS radios, if not all, is the handle. The charging handle, which you can use to charge the internal battery pack to power the radio. The radio can run on 4 regular AA batteries or the rechargeable battery pack that comes with the radio. And you can charge it by either, as previously mentioned, cranking your handle or by plugging it into one of the charging cables. You can also use regular AA rechargeable batteries, but you cannot charge those batteries inside the radio. You can only charge the rechargeable battery pack. It takes several minutes to charge. You have to crank your handle for several minutes to charge up the battery pack. But after about 10 minutes, I was able to charge it up by swiftly cranking my handle, enough to turn it on and receive and transmit on the radio, but it only lasted for a few minutes, so it does take some time to fully charge the battery. As previously mentioned, the XT511, also known as the XT511, has a USB charging port to charge your phone or your iPad or other small portable pornography delivery devices. The radio uses very similar stupid cryptic menus that Midland uses on all of their radios. But to use the radio, you don't really need to get into any of those menus. You can just take it out of the box and start using it. The radio does have a high and low power setting. You do need to get into the menus to change that. As you can see by the H right there, I currently have the radio set to high power. even though I cannot find in the documentation how many watts that high power setting is. And because it does not have a standard antenna connector, I am unable to measure the power output with my Farzometer 2000 because it won't connect. This radio is not repeater capable. You cannot use it to transmit on repeaters. It has only the standard 22 GMRS channels, and it has pretty much the same FARs as any handheld GMRS radio that I've tested, maybe slightly less. And remember, because I am the queen of GMRS radios, I have pretty much tested all of them, so I know of what I speak. I was able to talk with my friend Chris on his base station 10 miles away through that little antenna, but just barely. But please allow me to point out that I live atop a hill. Some would call it a mountain, and Chris lives 10 miles away in the valley below, which means we have perfect line of sight between this radio and his radio. In other words, when I said that I was able to talk with Chris 10 miles away using this radio, that was in near perfect optimal conditions. Your FARs may vary. In addition to the standard 22 GMRS channels, which you can transmit and receive, the XT511, also known as the XT511, can also receive commercial AM and FM radio. That's what that switch is for. And it can receive all of the NOAA weather channels, and it also receives NOAA weather alerts. The radio has a Vox, voice-activated hands-free option, which is probably not a good idea to enable. And it has an SOS mode. If you press and hold the menu/SOS button for 5 seconds, it will sound a useless alarm, like many handheld radios, but it will also spell out SOS in Morse code using the flashlight. And to be honest, I could see that coming in handy for those times when you get lost in the middle of nowhere and require assistance. And most important, the feature that matters the most to most people, the Midland XT511, also known as the Midland XT511, does have a Roger beep. So basically, the Midland XT511 is a simple-to-use, simple GMRS radio with a hand crank charger that you can use to charge both the radio and other things via USB. So it would not be a bad idea to carry this radio with you in your Jeep or your truck, or to keep in your home emergency sack for use in times of trouble. But if you want one, you'd better hurry.